this one hurts. This one hurts real bad because I had very high hopes for this animated theatrical release. IMAX Dolby! And what are they putting up there? Oh my gosh. It is the worst case, definitely one of the worst, but I think arguably the worst case of what I ordered versus what I got that I've ever seen in the entertainment space. Whew! Now, I'm a big fan, not just of animation, but I'm excited about the future of adult animation. Although I don't know how much of a future it has these days. But, it's long been popular in the East, but still, for the most part, the West tends to view animation as mostly family entertainment or like nostalgia. Pixar has done a little bit pushing into the adult space. I mean, I'll never forget when I was a kid going to see Pixar movies and looking around and being like, there sure are a lot of adults in here because, the storytelling was so strong and sophisticated. Even they've run into their own problems. But when it comes to 2D animation that's truly for adult audiences, it had seemed that Netflix was really going to do a lot. Like first with Castlevania. And thank you to everybody who insisted I watch Castlevania. Thank you so much. Phenomenal show. Phenomenal. And then they built on that over at Netflix with Blood of Zeus, Arcane, and Blue Eye Samurai. I mean, just wow. There's also been Invincible, to be fair, and even Marvel and Star Wars have put out some great animated content aimed at adult viewers. And the DCU just kicked off with an animated series. That just goes to show you how exciting the space is right now. And of course, Harley Quinn and the spin-off Kite Man. But some of you might already be typing, nobody's really watching any of this stuff. I mean, the viewership has been really bad, particularly post-pandemic. For some reason during the pandemic, everybody was like, yeah, let's watch adult animation. But now you do not care for it anymore? What's happening? And now you have this mediocre theatrical release, and I'm just really worried about now the future of adult animation in the West. So, what's wrong with this specific movie? Well, as I just said, it is a classic what I ordered, what I got scenario. The concept art for War of the Rohirrim was stunning, making us feel that we were going to get something artistically ambitious along the lines of Blue Eye Samurai or the most artistically ambitious piece of animation ever made, Arcane, seasons 1 and 2. Instead, this is pretty standard anime and certainly not ambitious anime. Castlevania, for instance, is anime, and that is leagues ahead of the quality of this production. Like, wow, I wish it was Castlevania. To be totally honest with you, I mean, I'm being pretty honest as it is, but you know what? I really didn't like the animation here. Some of you might like traditional anime, like flat anime with no flourishes. That might be your thing. Maybe you'll be a little more open to this movie, but I was just like, it's hideous. So because I thought it looked so bad, lazy, uninspired, and simplistic, just like with reading a comic book, I just couldn't get into it. I was like, oh, why does it look so bad? It looks so bad. Don't you know you're a visual medium? Why do you look so bad? I mean, it was just so hard. It kept me from really being able to enjoy the film. Great art goes a long way in visual storytelling, not just with animation, but as I said, also with comic books. And if the art is really good, it can overcome a story that is lacking because you're like, it's just so beautiful. I love to look at it. But here, not only is it tough to look at it, but the story is bad too. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so bad. All right, so over 2 hours of the most obvious medieval style story ever, like paint by numbers. Tomboy princess doesn't want to get married. I'm like, don't you live in a medieval world? I see other women here. Haven't you seen what happened to women older than you? I mean, it's not a big surprise. She's like, what? As the princess of the land, you expect me to marry to help our kingdom and for political purposes? How is this a surprise? All right. She's also, of course, the bravest of everybody. And she'll, of course, end up working with her father, blah, 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 to save the day, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sure a lot of Lord of the Rings fans are like, who is this bitch? We never even heard of her before. All right, so it's Brave meets How to Train Your Dragon meets Wonder Woman. Just every story you could possibly think of, it's in here. The lack of originality really hurts this movie. And it also makes it another reason that it's hard to be engaged. So you've got bad art and you've got bad story. Oh, yikes. You're like, in an animated movie? And they're like, yeah, we did that. Yeah. It's also weird to give this story a female lead. You know I'm all about a female lead, and I didn't even like this one. From the books, again, the famous character is Brian Cox's Helm Hammerhand. It's all about Helm Hammerhead, and Brian Cox is really hot off of Succession. So why do they have such a small supporting role? That's your superstar. And the movie is not made to appeal, I think, to female and LGBTQ audiences who would be more open to a female lead. So you're not even going to bring them in because they're all going to, just like myself, we're all like, it's hideous. It's not good to look at. It's not good to listen to. I'm out of here. Hera, this new character created for the movie, she isn't even coded to appeal to straight male viewers. She doesn't appeal to anybody. So I don't know why they're like, let's make this movie focused. I mean, it just seems like, again, Hollywood, we applaud them trying to be more diverse and to represent the audience that's watching. But when they just go through the motions and they're just checking boxes and they do it for the pat on the back instead of to actually tell a great story about this type of character, that's where they get themselves into trouble. And all, you know what? I kind of liked Lightyear though, but it's not what Lightyear didn't have, but it's not what you, it's interesting. With Lightyear, at least I could understand and appreciate what they were trying to do. Here, I don't even know what they're trying to do here. I'm like, tell the most boring, rote story that doesn't look good you can think of. Also, isn't this Lord of the Rings? There are no elves. Elves are my favorite. There's no elves. There's no dwarves. I think there were some orcs, but I was kind of checked out. I was like, was that an orc that just ran by the screen? Okay. There's no magic. Saruman apparently has some dialogue. Again, totally missed it. I was like kind of zoning out. This is a really long movie. Again, as I said, it's over 2 hours. So like after about an hour or so, I was like, I can't believe this still has so much longer to go. Gandalf gets name checked and you're like, why isn't he in the movie? And then also Miranda Otto. They're like, ooh, Miranda Otto from the original movies. Because her character, Eowyn, was from Rohan, the War of the Rohirrim and stuff like that. She narrates, but you never see her. You never even see the character. So whatever. So yes, War of the Rohirrim is oddly devoid of the fantasy elements that have made Lord of the Rings such a popular and famous story. In fact, of the few otherworldly elements that they do introduce into the movie, they really seem more like they're from Eastern animation, like anime, Miyazaki and stuff like that. Those elements are interesting. They got me to pay a little bit more attention. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's just right out of Eastern animation. But on that note, doesn't fit with Lord of the Rings. The movie also can't even boast an all-star voice cast. You got Brian Cox running through there briefly. And then also Skins fans might recognize the voice of Luca Pasqualino. I don't know who that is. I don't know him. And Gaia Wise, who I also never heard of, she voices Hera. I mean, she's fine, but she didn't blow my mind like Maya Hawke in Inside Out 2. I mean, it was as generic as the character. You're like, yes, okay. That character sounds like exactly what I would expect her to. All right, there's just really nothing new or interesting here. I can't even point to fantastic action sequences, which should be incredible here because in animation, you're not restrained by budget or the limits of reality. So I should be like, at least the action sequences were banger. No. The movie doesn't even have any romance. And it doesn't have to be about the lead. There could be romance among some secondary characters. I don't care. But you got a 2.5-hour movie, throw a little romance in there, man. They got nothing. They don't have any comedic relief. How do they fill the time? They don't. I honestly can't recommend War of the Rohirrim at all, in any format, at any point. Theatrical, digital, streaming, don't watch it. It's a waste of time. It was a waste of time making it, so it's bad enough that time is gone. Don't waste your own time. You would be better off watching any of these incredible animated series. And I can't believe, again, as I said, that this is the thing that gets to go on the big screen, that plays in Dolby, in IMAX. Can you imagine these other shows with that kind of opportunity? Oh, it's so frustrating. So I think this movie is going to flop. I think it's going to belly flop hard. And I'm worried when we'll get another chance to have an animated movie that's aimed at adults from Hollywood on the big screen. Because Hollywood will never admit that they served up crap. They're like, they don't want to eat it. And they're like, did you taste what you served? And they're like, no, of course not. We don't eat that. And they're like, it was garbage. So I'm really nervous that this is going to cause, this was a big risk to do this, but it was not a risk worth taking on this project. It's very frustrating. All right, so that's my review of The War of the Rohirrim, hitting theaters this weekend. All right, share your own thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.